Can't Wait for Christmas is a proud member of the Christmas Podcast Network.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
Is it Christmas yet?
No, sorry, not yet.
I can't wait for Christmas.
Yeah, I can't wait for Christmas either. In fact, let's celebrate now.
Ho, 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 ho. Welcome to the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast.
It's February 25th, 2026, and that means there's 10 months left until Christmas. Today on the show, we'll learn the story of President Ulysses S. Grant making Christmas a national holiday in the United States. We'll also talk about a quaint town in California where you can get a little Christmas all year long. We'll count down the top 5 Christmas-themed first draft segments from The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and I'll ask for your help in naming a new segment for 2026. Okay, let's start the show! Greetings, Yule believers, and welcome to the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast. The podcast all about Christmas history, Christmas traditions, Christmas media, and everything else Christmas. I'm your host, stand-up comic, and your Christmas Valentine, Tim Babb. I want to send a special thank you to everyone who watched our 10th anniversary parody video from last time. It's definitely not getting pushed by the algorithm because, let's face it, it's just for us. But I definitely want to thank each of you for watching and the lovely messages and comments, like this one from Brian who said, "I've heard a lot of things in my life, but that song describing the last 10 years of the podcast to We Didn't Start the Fire was awesome." Thanks, Brian. So, we're more than halfway through winter at this point, yet Christmas feels so far away. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I need a little Christmas now.
We need a little Christmas now.
There's a town in California called Solvang. It was founded by Danish immigrants, and the architecture of the town is in a Danish medieval style. It's known to be one of the top U.S. cities to visit during Christmas, so naturally, I packed up the van, corralled my entire family, and met up with a friend's family to visit Solvang for Valentine's Day. But here's the thing, there was plenty of Christmas to be had in Solvang, even though it wasn't Christmas. So I thought I'd do a little trip report and let you know where you can get some Christmas in Solvang right now. One of the first things we did was take a tour of the town on a trolley. We got to see a lot of the unique architecture of the buildings, including the little buildings that are out in front of a lot of shops and restaurants. It turns out those are houses for the Nissa. They are somewhere between elves and gnomes. They can be helpful or mischievous. Our friends who have been to Solvang more times than we did had told us that when you misplace your keys or your wallet, that means you've angered the Nissa, and they've hid them from you. But if you get on their good side, they can also help you out. The trolley also had a tour guide who told us some of the history of the town, which I have promptly forgotten, but she also talked about what a big deal Christmas is in Solvang, so I perked right up for that. She said that if you want to see Solvang at Christmas, don't come the week before Christmas. It gets crowded. Think Disneyland on New Year's Eve crowded. The 25-minute trolley tour that we took apparently takes 50 minutes to an hour during that week before Christmas because it's bumper-to-bumper traffic. Now, they start decorating the city at Thanksgiving, and if you head there around that time, you can see the town in all its Christmas splendor without the mad crowds. That said, as someone who was there in mid-February, the place still looks pretty festive the way it's lit up at night. There's twinkling lights in most of the trees and along a lot of the buildings, and the town has multiple windmills that they decorate the sails of the windmills with lights as well. But the off-season holiday fun doesn't stop there. You see, this year our family has discovered a love for escape rooms, and as it turns out, they have one down in Solvang called the Ultimate Escape Rooms. They have multiple different rooms to choose from, but if you're hoping to scratch that holiday itch, I'd suggest the one called the Mischievous Nissa. Yes, in case you were wondering why I went on that tangent about the Nissa a minute ago, it's because I knew this was coming. You see, a part of the Nissa legend involves Yuletide, and this escape room focuses on that part. Here's a description from the website that they actually read to you before the escape room starts. It's that time of year again when family converges on the holiday house in the countryside. You all could use some time together, as it has been several years since everyone in the family has been there at the same time. You head over to the village market in order to get into the spirit. While enjoying the sights and smells of the season, you agree that this year will be less about tradition and more about having a relaxing, casual celebration without all the usual expectations. Upon returning home, you find out that your family Nissa is not happy with your decision and has other plans up his sleeve for Yule. According to him, your family home has kept up traditions for generations, and you will not be the first to break that. In order to escape this mischief, you must create a Christmas atmosphere to celebrate with all the traditions kept up. Yes, you have to do Christmas stuff to escape the room. I had not actually read that description before we booked the escape room, so I was very pleasantly surprised to be greeted with a Christmas tree as soon as I walked in. I don't want to spoil any of the surprises if you decide to try this escape room for yourself, but I will say that our group successfully escaped, and because we had taken the trolley tour, we got a sweet discount on that escape room. Speaking of sweet discounts, I was at a souvenir shop buying water bottles because we forgot to fill up, and while I was looking around, I saw a tiny little windmill Christmas ornament. I decided that would be a fun souvenir to take home, so I brought it up to the counter with my 4 giant bottles of water, and the guy let me have it for free. How about that? Thanks, Solvang. But I'm sure people familiar with Solvang are probably wondering why it's taken me so long to get to the main year-round Christmas attraction in town. There is a shop that sells Christmas stuff all year round called the Ulysses. As soon as I knew we were going to Solvang, I knew I wanted to hit this store. They describe themselves pretty well on their website. Ulysses, Danish for Christmas house, fills a special niche of providing old European Christmas ornaments with an emphasis on Scandinavian customs. Here you'll find the entire store twinkling with tiny lights, offering an array of European blown glass ornaments. You'll also see the most extensive display of German wood nutcrackers and smokers this side of the Rhine River. Other European collectibles include beautiful German angel and Santa figures, pyramids that operate on candle power, and numerous carved figurines. The Ulysses has one of the finest collections of nativities from many countries. We spent a long time there because, of course we did, and I was able to find something very specific to this podcast. One of the first things you hear every episode is this. That is from a wind-up angel figurine that I believe was given to us by my late mother-in-law. Sadly, it broke a few years after I recorded it for our intro, but it turns out the Ulysses sells music boxes with various Christmas tunes, including this one. So now I have a piece of the podcast back that I thought was lost forever. Now, I know not everybody can get to Solvang at the drop of a hat. Fear not, I took a bunch of pictures, especially in the Ulysses, and I've posted them on our Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook pages. I'll be sure to put specific links to them, as well as the escape room and the Christmas shop in the show notes of this episode at can'twaitforchristmaspod.com. And now let's move to our next segment, 5 Golden Things.
5 golden things.
I have been a longtime fan of Stephen Colbert, from his days at The Daily Show to The Colbert Report, right up to his current gig hosting The Late Show. Sadly, that show will be coming to an end in May of this year, which will mean the end of a recurring Christmas bit that he does called First Drafts. This is a bit where he shows a greeting card and then shows the first draft of that card before they got it right. It's a very dry description, but you'll hear how it works out and is funny in just a second. He's done this first draft bit for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and even Thanksgiving, but obviously the Christmas ones are the ones that really speak to me. So, while they're still available to watch on YouTube, let's count down the top 5 Christmas first draft segments on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Number 5.
2020.
This one is very simple, like me. This one just says, Merry Christmas. Jack Frost is nipping at your nose.
Oh, very sweet.
That is very sweet, very simple, kind of cute. But the first draft said, Merry Christmas. The mask goes over your nose too, you numbnut.
Starting things off with a real blast from the past. Let me set the scene. It's December 11th, 2020. You're still in lockdown. You've just finished listening to the first ever made-for-podcast Christmas movie, A Bomb for Christmas, and you turn on The Late Show to see this segment. Now, in addition to Stephen's voice, you heard another voice in that clip. See, in the early days of this bit, Stephen would pull someone from his studio audience on stage, and they would hold all the greeting cards. Then Stephen would ask for the regular one, the audience member would hand it to him, he'd read it, then he'd ask for the first draft, they'd hand it to him, and he'd read that. Well, in December of 2020, there were no studio audiences, so that other voice you heard was Stephen's wife, Evie. This was a first, and what I liked about it is that even once they got studio audiences back, Stephen kept using Evie for this bit. And no offense to the studio audience, but just getting to watch a husband and his wife of many years flirt and joke around is very joyful.
Number 4.
2024.
Here's an old-fashioned one. It says, on the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 12 drummers drumming. Not much of a card, but that's the card. But the first draft said, on the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a total logistical nightmare. Where am I supposed to put 12 drummers drumming? I still don't know what to do with the 7 lords a leaping, and those maids are getting milk everywhere.
This year, Evie and Stephen had been doing a lot of appearances together to promote their cookbook, Does This Taste Funny? And they talk a bit about their press tour in this bit, including a nickname Andy Cohen gave Evie, and how Stephen broke the internet while dancing with Oprah. They also talk about forgetting the names of the kids of the people they send Christmas cards to. Now, just a viewer warning, the discussion after the Hanukkah card gets a little spicy. Nothing too crazy, it is network television after all, but there are some things talked about that you might not be ready to have an explanation for younger kids.
Number 3.
2021.
This one says, Feliz Navidad, wishing you a fantastico holiday. Very nice. Very, 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 very nice. But the first draft said, Feliz Navidad is as far as I got on Duolingo, mucho sorry.
This was the first Christmas first drafts with Evie in front of the studio audience, but this one introduces an odd continuity issue. You see, when Evie first sits down, Stephen pulls out some eggnog and Evie says, I don't like that, and Stephen points out that she doesn't do dairy. So while Stephen has a glass of eggnog, he gives Evie some Mountain Dew Code Red. Solidly funny bit of business, but if you saw the 2024 segment that I just talked about a second ago, it starts with Stephen pulling out 2 glasses of eggnog and they both drink the nog. Somewhere between 2021 and 2024, Evie lost her aversion to dairy? Or did the eggnog people get to her? You can fight, Evie. You don't have to have the nog if you don't want to.
Number 2.
2023.
Here's a Star Wars themed one. It says Merry Christmas, or should I say droid to the world. But the first draft said Merry Christmas, and no, it doesn't matter if there's mistletoe, it's still not okay to make out with your sister.
Okay, I've abandoned this as a top 5 list, and I'm just solving this big mystery. In this one, Stephen brings out the nog again and asks Evie if she does the nog. And she awkwardly says, yes. And Stephen says, you don't have to lie to the people. So Evie clarifies that she doesn't do the nog so much. But she drinks some for her husband. But come with me down this rabbit hole. In 2021, she's no nog. In 2022, there was no Christmas first draft bit. Now, in 2023, she's drinking the nog. People don't realize how powerful these nog people are. If they can get to Evie Colbert, they can get to anyone.
Please stand by. Technical difficulties are temporary.
Oh, oopsie. I guess something broke there for a second, and now it's fixed. Yeah, nothing else happened. I'm totally fine, and no one has threatened me about anything nog-related. Anywho, let's go back to talking about the 2023 edition of Christmas First Drafts. So, this is an especially good one, because in addition to the bit with the cards, the appeal of First Drafts is also Stephen and Evie interacting. And in this one, Stephen had recently had surgery for a ruptured appendix, and Evie points out when they gave Stephen morphine at the hospital, he was very chatty with his nurse. This seems to genuinely embarrass Stephen, and he tries to explain himself, and it's just a wonderful moment of playful ribbing between the two, and a rare instance where Evie clearly seems to get the upper hand.
Honorable mentions.
2016.
Okay, here we got another one here. This is a very nice one. It's a nice manger scene on the front. And this card says, wishing you the gift of faith, the blessing of hope, and the peace of his love at Christmas and always. That's a beautiful sentiment.
Oh, pretty.
But the first draft said, I know you're an atheist, but please pretend for grandma.
So this was, I believe, the first Christmas First Draft segment. Even though this would have been the second Christmas show for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, this was the first drafts. It's a classic first. So instead of Evie, this is a random member of the audience, a lady named Tova. I chose this as an honorable mention, partly because it made sense to honor the first one of these, but also because Tova is a mom with 2 boys, and their names are Michael and Jamie, and that's really close to my boys' names, so I thought it was a sign to give this a spot on the list.
Number 1.
2025.
Here's one for the family next door. It says, Merry Christmas, neighbor. Living near people like you is the best gift of all. Isn't
That's
that
nice.
lovely?
We have such nice neighbors.
We have such lovely neighbors.
We do.
May I have the second one, please?
We can't talk.
No, we can't. This is the premise. This is the punchline. If you talk between the two, the punchline suffers, as we're about to find out. But the first draft said, Merry Christmas, neighbor. I forgot your name, and now it's too late to ask. I'm going to go with Chief until one of us moves or dies.
This could be recency bias, but I don't think so. As I mentioned in the intro to the segment, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is coming to an end in May. As a consequence of that, Stephen has got that, well, you've already fired me, what do? Fire me again? Energy, and it's made this show a lot of fun to watch. And in last year's Christmas First Drafts, Evie had a bit of that energy too. Made for some great interactions the whole way through, including a part early on after the clip I just played, where they admit they don't know the names of their across-the-street neighbors and then kind of panicking because they've just made that admission on TV where their neighbors are sure to hear about it. And that's my list. But don't worry, I put the link to the YouTube videos of each of these in the show notes of can'twaitforchristmaspod.com. I would definitely recommend checking them out sooner than later. There are some old bits that I love from the Colbert Report, The Daily Show, and At Midnight, and they are nowhere to be found anymore. I imagine when Colbert's contract is up, they will pull these videos down, so check them out while you can. And now for a word from one of the other podcasts in the Christmas Podcast Network.
Hello, fellow Christmas lovers and enthusiasts. Are you missing that magic holiday feeling? What if we could unwrap a little bit of Christmas every single day? Welcome to Closer to Christmas, the daily podcast that counts down the days until the next Christmas. Think of it as an advent calendar for your ears. Each quick, festive episode brings you one day closer to twinkling lights, cozy nights, and that Merry Christmas magic we all love. Follow along on social media at Closer to Xmas for extra holiday cheer. And visit closertochristmas.com to listen, subscribe, and never miss a merry moment. Closer to Christmas, because the countdown to magic starts today.
Welcome back. It was recently President's Day here in the US, so I thought I'd talk about one particular president's effect on Christmas, specifically our 18th president, Ulysses S. Grant. Christmas wasn't always a national holiday in the United States. In fact, in the early days, there were places that outright banned its celebration. Some thought the fact that Christmas had adopted some of the rituals and traditions of older pagan holidays made the celebration of Christmas itself pagan and unholy. Then there were those who felt that Christmas represented too much of the old countries that Americans had come to this new continent to escape from. Plus, one of the core tenets of the United States is that it's a country of religious freedom. You can have any religion or no religion, so how would it make sense to have a national religious holiday like Christmas? While there were no lack of Christmas opinions, there was definitely no Christmas consensus, or Christmasensis, a word that I totally didn't just make up. Thankfully, on April 27th, 1822, the hero of our story is born. Hiram Ulysses Grant. Wait, hold on. I thought we were talking about Ulysses S. Grant. I don't know who this Hiram guy is. His cousin or something? Wikipedia really dropped the ball on this one. Oh, I see. Hiram Ulysses Grant was his original name before he changed it to the artist formerly known as Hiram. No, wait, that's not right either. It was an error that happened when he was nominated to West Point Military Academy, where his name was mistakenly recorded as U.S. Grant. He decided to start going by Ulysses S. Grant from then on because I guess he wasn't a fan of the fact that his original initials used to spell hug. Well, how do you think Samuel Andrew Dixon felt? Sad, I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing he felt. Sad. Anyway, initially after West Point, Grant did not have a particularly exceptional military career during the Mexican-American War, but he learned a lot from the generals he served under. At the same time, he also came to dislike the war, feeling it was only to expand America's territory for the sake of slavery. He developed a pretty heavy drinking problem and eventually resigned from the army. By this point, he had a wife, Julia Dent, and 2 children, though eventually they would have 4 kids total. But in 1854, he moved his family to Missouri and tried to work a farm, which didn't pan out. He tried real estate, which didn't pan out. Then he tried to get work as an engineer, but was denied. He finally had to take a job as a clerk at his father's tannery business. Also, there was tension in his personal life as well. Grant was raised by abolitionists, but his wife's family were slave owners. In fact, Grant was transferred ownership of William Jones, but chose to free him rather than sell him, even though his financial situation was not great, and he would have made a good deal of money from selling him. Then the Civil War breaks out, and Grant feels a sense of duty to protect the Union. He tries to re-enlist in the Army, but given his record, he's initially rejected. But an Illinois congressman goes to bat for Grant, and he's made a colonel of an unruly volunteer regiment. Taking lessons from the generals he observed early in his military life, he gets the unit in shape and secures several Union victories, rising from colonel to brigadier general to major general of volunteers and earning the nickname Unconditional Surrender Grant, which, as nicknames go, is not that catchy, but definitely gets the point across. After the successful but bloody 47-day siege of Vicksburg, Mississippi, later dubbed the Battle of Vicksburg, Grant cut off supply lines to the Confederacy and secured a major victory for the Union. He was made Major General of the regular U.S. Army. After more victories in Tennessee, including the Battle of Chattanooga, Grant is eventually named Lieutenant General of the U.S. Army. And, not for nothing, he's the first person to achieve that rank since George Washington. Eventually, he leads the Union forces to victory and the war ends. Now, at this point in most biographies of Grant, we'd be jumping to him becoming president. But this is the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast, and I'm not getting graded on this, despite the website Good Pods listing this show as number 53 of all-time education for kids podcasts. I'm going to take a slight detour to Yosemite, California. There's a tree located southeast of Yosemite National Park in what is now called Kings Canyon National Park that in 1867 was named the General Grant. The tree is over a century and a half old and is the second largest giant sequoia tree in the world. Okay, now on to his presidency.
Wait, you stalled the story just to mention he had a big old tree named after him?
Hey, imaginary listener, sounds kind of like Kermit the Frog. It's a little late in the episode for you to be showing up.
Yeah, normally when you realize you need me in the third act, you go back and rewrite the first act to introduce me there, but you were too lazy and running too far behind this month.
And?
Oh, right, and my name is Carl.
Thank you. So, Grant was elected president in 1868, a year after he got that tree named after him. Now, Grant has never held any elected office before this. Pretty wild to go straight to the highest office in the land, but the country liked Grant as a general. He was known for being very magnanimous in his war victories, and perhaps it was that spirit of fairness to both sides that led the country to choose him to lead during the Reconstruction era. During his 2 terms as president, Grant pushed through the ratification of the 15th Amendment, created America's first national park, and created the U.S. Justice Department. But the achievement that is the main reason we've been talking about Grant all this time came in 1870. As I mentioned, Grant was putting the country back together after the Civil War. One thing elected officials in Washington noticed is that soldiers on both sides of the war and all of religious backgrounds found the end-of-the-year celebrations as fostering community and country. So, to formally recognize that by making Christmas a national holiday would help unite the country.
But how do they go about making Christmas a national holiday?
I'm so glad you asked.
Oh no, not another song.
I'll let my friend Bill take it from here.
Bill?
I'm just a Bill, a national holiday Bill, and I'm hoping to bring lots of goodwill. I want to make Christmas Day a national holiday, along with Thanksgiving and Independence Day, and North and South tensions will go away. At least I hope and pray that they will, but they say that's a lot for one bill.
So how did you become a bill?
Representative Burton Chauncey Cook from Illinois brought me to the floor of the House of Representatives where I was passed. And then I was passed by the Senate on June 24th, 1870. Now I'm just waiting for President Grant's signature.
Good news, Bill. President Grant signed you on June 28th, 1870. Christmas is a national holiday.
Oh, yeah!
So now the whole country will celebrate Christmas?
Well, no, federal holidays for federal employees in Washington, D.C. It wasn't until later that was extended nationwide.
Oh.
Yeah, that really took the air out of the balloon at the end here. I'm just gonna go.
Bye, Bill.
Well, what about the end of Grant's presidency?
Yeah, it was tainted a bit by the fact that a bunch of the people he hired to be part of his administration stole money.
Oh, life after his presidency?
He got throat cancer from years of smoking cigars, and his partner in the financial firm he started embezzled from him, leaving both Grant and the firm bankrupt.
Eesh.
He did strike a deal with his pal Mark Twain to write his memoirs, which sold hundreds of thousands of copies and brought his family some much-needed money.
Well, that's something.
But there's one more thing that came long after his death in 1885. Remember that tree near Yosemite? Well, by the early 1900s, it had become quite the attraction during Christmas time. The park started having an annual Christmas program at the tree every year. President Calvin Coolidge designated the General Grant as the nation's Christmas tree on April 28, 1926. To this day, the Sanger Chamber of Commerce continues to sponsor the annual Trek to the Tree on the second Sunday of December.
Good job, you managed to end it on a high note. No wonder you mentioned the tree earlier.
Well, I've been doing this for over a decade now.
Oh, I know.
Anyway, before we go, I'd like to ask our listeners to help me out for a future segment. This segment doesn't have a name yet. Yep, that's the problem. I don't have a name for this yet. But here's the idea. There have been a lot of people to portray Ebenezer Scrooge in movies and TV over the years. What if we tried to pick the best one? You guys would write in with your favorite Scrooge and tell us why they deserve to be named the best Scrooge ever, and I'll read it on the show. Or you could send me a voice note and I'll play your lovely voice on the air. And you can nominate any portrayal you want, even if the character wasn't named Ebenezer Scrooge, like Bill Murray in Scrooge, or Ryan Reynolds in Spirited, or Henry Winkler in American Christmas Carol. The only one I will disqualify is Kiki from A Bomb for Christmas 2, Past, Present, and Future, because I am way too biased and she would win hands down. But I don't have a name for what to call this segment. When we did the ultimate version of Jingle Bells, we called it the Jingle Brawl.
Jingle Brawl, Jingle Brawl, Jingle Brawl the way!
When we picked the best Christmas food, we called it the Road to the Christmas Bowl. And when we crowned the best Christmas musician, we called it Merry Music Madness. But I don't know what to go with for this one. I was trying to come up with a pun involving bah humbug, but I got nothing. And what's even worse, a listener gave me the idea for this segment, but I can't find the email or comment to give them credit. So if this sounds like it was your idea, please email me at can'twaitforchristmaspod@gmail.com so I can give you credit next time. The rest of you, write in with your ideas, and you could be the one that names... This segment doesn't have a name yet. And that's our show. Thanks so much for listening. Lots of links in the show notes this time. We got links to all my Solvang photos, the Yule Hoos Christmas Shop, the Ultimate Escape Room, and the Late Show with Stephen Colbert first draft segments. Be sure to write in and tell me what we should call the segment with no name, and I'll see you back here next month. Until then, Yule Believers, keep laughing all the way.
And that was Christmas 1983.
Actually, Dad, it's 2026.
Oh.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us at Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, aka iTunes, and email us about it at christmas@tancast.com, we'll send you a free Can't Wait for Christmas sticker. If you'd like to see the show notes or leave a comment on this or any other episodes, you can go to our official website, can'twaitforchristmaspod.com. While you're there, you'll find a link to our official Zazzle store, where you can grab customizable t-shirts, ornaments, stickers, and all sorts of other Christmas-themed items all year long. We'd love to connect with you on social media. On Blue Sky, we are at Christmas Pod, and on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, we are at Can't Wait for Christmas Pod. We Wish You a Merry Christmas was performed by the United States Marine Corps Band, and this amazing version of Jingle Bells on the accordion was performed by the wonderful and talented Christian Nowicki. All other music and sounds used in this episode are the properties of their individual copyright holders, and they are used for purposes of commentary and review. No infringement is intended. Okay, boys, did I forget anything?
God bless us, everyone.
Merry Christmas!
It turns out those are houses for the... Oh, I forgot how to pronounce it again. Nisei? It turns out those are houses for the Nisa. Nissa. How did I forget it again? There is someone walking by my house giving it the stink eye. Like, what do you want me to do, man? It's my house. I'm doing what I can. That's why I shouldn't have the blinds open when I'm recording. But if you're hoping to scratch that holiday itch, I'd suggest the one called the Mischievous. Or Mischievous. Is it mischievous or mischievous? That's before I even get to Nisei. Is it Nisei or Nisa? Who's? Yule who's? Say what? Who? No. Okay. I'm not putting that in the show. If this is in the outtakes, just know it barely made it, because I'm so embarrassed that I even tried that joke. Let's count down the top 5 Christmas first draft segments on The Late Show with... That is too many words, yeah! Had recently had surgery for a ruptured appendix. I feel like, where do I when they're long, drawn-out sentences and I mess up, I'm like, now I gotta go all the way back to the beginning of the sentence. Like, if they're short, choppy sentences, I can just go back to the beginning of a relatively short sentence. But, like, I was just droning on and on there, so I gotta do it all over again. I wish there was a better writer on the show.
You're the writer.
Oh, no! Specifically, our 18th president... I couldn't get that sentence out? That seems weird. Specifically, our 18th... Really? Really? Specifically, our 18th. How is that a hard series of words? I can't blame the writer anymore. I gotta blame this mouth. He was known for being very magnanimous. He was known for being very magnanimous. Why did I think I would just write this word and I'd know how to say it? Magnanimous. There it is. I can say it. I could do it.